The sun sets over the solitary silhouette of a distant island, Rapa Nui, known to the world as Easter Island, painting the sky in hues of gold and purple. On its volcanic shores, giant stone figures called Moai stand silent and unmoving, guarding the land for centuries. The Pacific wind carries whispers of legend among these statues, and the waves crashing against the rocks seem to intone an ancient, mysterious song. Local legends speak of an original paradise land named Hiva, from which the ancestors came, a paradise lost beneath the ocean waves. This is the story of Rapa Nui, an epic saga of courage, faith, and human ingenuity, beckoning us to step into a world forgotten by time. To the rhythm of distant drums, we imagine the first Polynesian canoes reaching the island's untouched shores. Destiny drove these voyages across thousands of kilometers of ocean, carrying with them the seeds of a unique civilization. We prepare to journey into the past, to an era when this isolated little island was the center of a universe of myths and mighty achievements. We will witness the birth of an island kingdom, the raising of imagination-defying stone colossi. We will listen to the tales of gods and heroes, and we will contemplate the mysterious decline of a once flourishing culture. Let us embark on this grand adventure through the history and legends of Rapa Nui. The foundation legend of Rapa Nui is itself worthy of an epic poem. It is said that King Hotu Matua, after learning through a vision that his homeland Hiva would perish beneath the waves, dispatched 7 explorers to seek a new home across the sea. After a long journey, these scouts discovered an isolated but fertile island and summoned their king. Hotu Matua, along with his family and subjects, sailed to the island and came ashore at Anakena Beach, christening the new land Tepito o Tehenua, the navel of the world. On this far-flung shore, the Polynesian settlers gradually built a complex society. Hotu Matua became the first Ariki Mau, sacred king of the island, and his descendants continued that ruling line. Over time, the community divided into several clans, mata, each led by its own chief, yet all acknowledged the supreme authority of the Ariki. Through the following centuries, Rapa Nui experienced a golden age in which it left an indelible mark on history through its unique creations. The most stunning achievement of Rapa Nui culture is embodied in the giant Moai. Between approximately the 13th and 17th centuries, the islanders carved nearly 1,000 monolithic statues from volcanic tuff directly in the rock walls of the Rano Raraku crater. Then, through titanic effort, they transported and erected them on ceremonial stone platforms called ahu along the coast. Some statues reach over 10 meters, 33 feet, tall and weigh around 80 tons. Typically, the Moai stand with their backs to the sea, facing inland as if watching over the villages. Many wear atop their heads reddish, cylindrical stones, Pukao, possibly representing hair topknots or ceremonial crowns. Most importantly, the Moai symbolize the deified ancestors of each clan, endowed with mana, the sacred force that protected and blessed the community. The transport and erection of these colossal figures remain a source of wonder. According to legend, the Moai walked themselves to their destinations, imbued with supernatural power by the priests. Amazingly, modern experiments have shown that dozens of people using ropes can indeed move an upright statue by rocking it from side to side, in effect confirming the ancient local tradition. The spiritual life of Rapa Nui was rich and captivating, populated by gods, heroes, and venerated ancestors. Even the coming of Hotu Matua and the colonization of the island are described in mythic terms. Tradition holds that the 7 scouts sent ahead were immortalized in stone. The 7 Moai at Ahu Akivi, uniquely facing the sea, are said to represent those legendary emissaries. In local belief, the world was created by the supreme god, Make. He fashioned the sky and the earth, and then, desiring a being like himself, molded the first man from the island's clay and gave him life, later creating the first woman from the man's rib to be his companion. Make remained the protective deity of the people, and his symbol, the figure of a man with a bird's head, appears in numerous petroglyphs on Rapa Nui's rocks. Another legend, recounted with a shiver, explains the end of an era. The war between the Hanau Eepe and the Hanau Momoko, the long ears and the short ears. According to myth, after a time of harmony, a fierce conflict erupted between these two groups. The Hanau Eepe, being fewer, dug a deep ditch at Poike and filled it with wood, planning to burn their enemies in this giant oven. But the stratagem backfired. The Hanau Momoko found a way around the ditch, attacked from the rear, and pushed the long ears into their own blaze. It's said that nearly the entire Hanau Eepe people perished in the flames, with only one survivor escaping alive. This dramatic tale, set, according to tradition, in the late 17th century, symbolically marked the end of the statue-building era and the downfall of the old order. Despite its isolation, the Rapa Nui civilization demonstrated remarkable adaptability and ingenuity. The first settlers brought plants and domesticated animals from Hiva, such as sweet potatoes, taro, banana trees, and chickens, thus establishing the basis of agriculture on the island. Confronted with thin soil and strong winds, they developed ingenious stone gardens. Agricultural plots were covered with crushed volcanic rock and bordered by circular stone walls, manavai, to retain moisture and warmth, protecting crops from the harsh elements. This technique allowed them to reap ample harvests in difficult conditions. Rapa Nui villages consisted of long, canoe-shaped houses with thatched roofs, built on oval stone foundations, har painga, resembling overturned boats. The modest interior of these huts was used mainly for sleeping, while many activities took place under the open sky. Villagers cooked in underground stone ovens, umu, and their diet relied on the crops they grew, enriched by fish and seafood from the ocean and the meat of domesticated birds. Even though the island lacks extensive reefs, bold fishermen ventured into the open sea for tuna and other fish, and domestic chickens provided protein when needed. Despite limited resources, art and knowledge flourished. The Rapa Nui carved not only the grand moai, but also crafted exquisite wooden figures, and they etched thousands of petroglyphs into the island's rocks, depicting sacred birds, ancestors, and cosmological motifs. They also developed a mysterious system of carved glyphs called Orongo, a script unique to the Pacific, which remains undeciphered to this day. Recently dated fragments suggest these glyphs existed by the 15th century, before any European set foot on the island. Orongo endures as one of Rapa Nui's great enigmas, a potential testament to their intellectual originality. Island society tightly intertwined religion with political organization. Traditionally, power was inherited along Hotu Matua's royal lineage, but in hard times the Rapa Nui reinvented how they chose their leaders. Thus arose the Tangata Manu competition, the cult of the Birdman. Once a year, champions from the clans would compete in a perilous race of swimming and climbing to retrieve the first egg of the Manu Tara bird from a remote islet. The winner bestowed upon his clan chief the title of Birdman, regarded as a sacred leader under the protection of Make. This spectacular ritual kept the community's hope alive and transformed the struggle for power into a symbolic contest, avoiding bloody conflict. Just as fascinating as Rapa Nui's rise is its fall. Over time, various explanations have emerged, some scientific, others more mythic. One popular theory argues that the island society self-destructed ecologically. In this view, the inhabitants mercilessly cut down the island's palm forests to obtain wood for fuel, canoes, and perhaps sledges or rollers to transport the giant statues, and to expand their agricultural land. Over the centuries, the island allegedly lost all its trees. The soil became barren and could no longer support the growing population. As a result, famine and internal warfare might have decimated the community even before Europeans arrived in 1722. When the first Western explorers landed, they supposedly found only the remnants of a once great society. Many statues fallen and a drastically reduced population. A scene of collapse that seemed to confirm the legend of a paradise lost. More recent research, however, offers a more nuanced narrative. Evidence suggests that Rapa Nui was still thriving when Europeans first made contact. Radiocarbon dating of Ahu platforms shows that statue construction continued at least until around 1750, well beyond the time of the purported ecological collapse. Furthermore, early Dutch and Spanish accounts in the 18th century describe active rituals and a people still hardy, contradicting the notion of an already moribund society. This perspective implies that the true collapse happened with outside interference. In the decades after 1722, Rapa Nui was devastated by epidemics brought by foreigners, by slave raids, notably the Peruvian incursions of 1862 to 1863, and by colonization. These forces reduced the population to just 111 individuals by 1877, nearly erasing the Rapa Nui people. Thus, it was not so much an internal ecocide as the shock of external contact that sealed the civilization's fate. A closer examination shows that environmental changes did play a role, but not necessarily due to human ignorance. The Polynesian rat, inadvertently introduced by the first settlers, proliferated and prevented the forest from regenerating by eating palm seeds. Even without extensive deforestation, the island's trees might have vanished over time. Despite that, the islanders demonstrated remarkable adaptability. They continued agriculture in sustainable ways and instituted social innovations, like the Birdman ritual, to maintain stability as resources dwindled. Their centuries-long cultural resilience suggests that Rapa Nui's story is not just a grim warning, but also a lesson in perseverance and ingenuity in isolation. Today, Rapa Nui stands before us as a living museum under the open sky. Much of the island is strewn with relics, ancient platforms, majestic statues arrayed along the coasts, abandoned villages, all silent testaments to a vanished civilization. Yet the spirit of Rapa Nui survives. Thousands of people live on the island now, many of them descendants of the old clans, still speaking the Rapa Nui language and keeping ancestral traditions alive. The mystery and allure of the place continue to draw people from everywhere. New discoveries are still being made. Recently, a previously unknown Moai was found buried in the bed of a dried-up lake, proof that this land has more secrets yet to reveal. Rapa Nui remains a fascinating land, a small, isolated society that nonetheless left behind a colossal cultural legacy. Its story both inspires and warns us about human ingenuity, the fragility of resources, and the power of legends to endure through the ages. We conclude this journey with hearts still echoing with the grandeur and mystery of Rapa Nui, a lost world that refuses to be forgotten.